Good afternoon everyone, and I hope you're all well. I wanted to make this video just based on the fact that a lot of people are sending out emails now. I'm getting very good feedback. At the moment I feel the market is really hotting up in different sectors, not just healthcare, and I just want to make this video because a lot of people are going to be sending out, cold emails, prospecting for business, and this method does work. I've made tons of videos on it, and literally all you need to be doing is sending emails. I probably get a text every day saying, look, I won my first client, or I get an email saying, look, your methods work, thanks, I've won 2 clients, or I've got 5 jobs on, etc. So using my template video, etc. So the common objection you're going to get is a PSL, and what I want to do in this video is cover how to deal with an objection. I'm going to write an email out, I'm going to tell you how I would deal with it, and I'll also probably go into a few other things that will help. So these aren't a no, these are a no for now, or I know that's a cheesy little sales phrase, it's a no for now. A lot of the times it's going to be, common objections you're going to get is, no thanks, we've got a PSL, we're happy with the service, we renew our PSL later on. Now what a PSL is a preferred supply list. Sometimes they're called associated vendors, or partnered companies, whatever you want to call it. So in a nutshell, say you get a video, an email back like this: hi Kads, no thanks, we got a PSL, HR manager, yeah? And it's obviously going to look at slightly different, but some of them will be detailed, saying, look, and what I was told when I started recruitment was, find out when their PSL is up for negotiation, when you can apply. Some companies work in the fact that they pick their own PSL, so they call up companies and say, hey, look, we're a company, we have etc. requirements coming up. This sometimes it's the case of they have an application form at the end of the year. Typically it's around November, December time. They will say to you, or they'll email companies that have emailed them through the year and say, look, our PSL is up for negotiation, fill in this form, and you put an application in for the next year, so 2021 for example. So with a PSL objection, 9 times out of 10 they do actually have a PSL. There's that 1 or 10% chance that they're using it just to get rid of agencies. So they know, and you hear it on the phone when you cold call, we have a PSL. That's the easiest way to get rid of an agency. So you really have to think deep into in terms of what they're saying with the email. Now I don't want to look too much into it because this is a fake email that I sent to myself, but in terms of we have a PSL, okay, great. You should know the market, or at least have some idea whether that role is actually fillable, whether their agencies are currently struggling in it. So this is how I would compose an email. So I'll just get rid of my signature because it's my job board. So I'd say, hello HR manager. And I always, what the typical recruitment agency would say are, how do we apply for the PSL? That's a weak answer. If someone emailed me that, I'll be like, look, I don't need anyone now. Who cares? I'm not going to email you. You're lucky to even get a response saying we got a PSL. Now, usually they email PSL, so you don't email them again. Now, if you email them every month and they say, no, we're okay for now, you might follow up. So it's usually the bigger companies that say, look, PSL, they know you're going to email again if they don't say something that's really going to cut it off. So they know this gets rid of agencies contacting them again. So what I would say is, look, what would I say? I would also start off with a, I am glad to hear, and it's going to sound weird, but when I write out, glad to hear you take recruitment seriously. I mean, I would reword that because it sounds patronizing. Glad you take recruitment seriously. And I don't want to interfere. I've sent emails like this many times, and honestly, this interfere, is that how you spell interfere? Interfere. Oh my god. How do you spell interfere? Interfere. Yeah. Interfere. Interfere. I don't want to interfere with what you have. You can tell I'm a recruiter, not an academic. I don't want to interfere with what you have going at the moment, or something along those lines. Yeah, I'll reword this and I'm going to put a link to the description below. I don't want to interfere with what you've got in at the moment. However, No, that sounds crap as well. I don't know how do you want to at the moment. Would you feel it would be a good use of your time to recommend the process, or the correct process? This is probably one of my worst videos, sorry guys. Recommend the correct I should have wrote this out before, that's what I usually do. Correct process as to how I would apply for a PSL. Also, are there any circumstances where a tier 2 / ad hoc recruitment agency would be used in delivery should your PSL be unable to serve, and you'll put a company name. So yeah, that's it. Sorry for the bad video, and you just type Kads, yeah? So it's a very short email. You're not asking them 100 questions, or they can literally reply. And don't forget, these people don't want to spend too much time with people they're not going to work with. So you need to bear that in mind. Now, what would come back to this is, you know, we have a renewal at the end of the year, or the correct process is we select them ourselves, yeah? You got no chance if it's that case. However, it's the circumstances. I would add, I forgot a very important point. If so, could you keep my details email for future reference? Now what this does, that's a very key point. Now if you prompt them to do that, and you're not pushy, you're not desperate, you're not trying to win business, what most people do is they go, oh, I've got an email back, oh my god, I've got to close them, I've got to somehow get around it and deal with the objection. No, you're not. You just need to say, look, you got 3 options, yeah? You got 3 options, Mr. HR Manager. The first one is going to be, how do I apply? What's your process? I'll follow it. Yeah? Do you ever reach out to other agencies? So what I mean by ad hoc or tier 2, usually they might have 3 or 4 agencies working in a row, and it's desperate. They need to fill this row in 2 weeks. They've got no one pending. They'll go to another agency. Look, have you got anyone in your books? Great. You go to market. You might have someone in your database, or someone you know. You can find someone and send them across. That will win you onto a PSL. I call that the back door into a PSL, and it's won me a lot of big contracts from that. So also, if you say, look, can you keep my details? They'll say, look, this guy's quite reasonable. He's not a pushy, you know, recruiter, and I've gone a long way from sounding very different to most recruiters. And what I've done is, you know, I've built up how can I put it, a sort of, I don't want to say a brand around me, but I'm not your typical recruiter. I do things very differently, and people can't believe the results we get from what I do. So yeah, it's, you know, it's a non-pushy email. You don't come across as desperate. You don't need their business, but you're happy to help if they need it. You're happy to work with them from there. Sometimes I've sent emails like this, and I've received, you know, how can I put it? I've received a call back literally instantly, and people have said, look, I've just picked up your email. I'm like, who the hell is this? I'm like, oh my god, I just emailed them. So do use something like this. Don't just delete it. Don't just say rubbish. I'm going to put this template, I'll copy it into a text file now, so I can just put it on my website, and I'll put it in the link description below. Now there's another one I want to cover now as well. With that, actually I might cover it for another video. And what I'll do is, you know, you might get a common objection like, hi, we don't use agencies. Actually, I will cover that in another video, and I'll probably release it the next day. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Do give it a like. I'm sorry it was a long-winded and boring video, but I'm glad it gave some sort of, you know, insight into how I would deal with the PSL objection via email.